Welcome back to Books and Bubbles, the podcast where we talk about our favorite book obsessions while sipping on tasty drinks themed to our books. I'm Paige.
I'm Bethany.
And I'm Maggie.
Today we're going to be talking about One Dark Night by Hannah Richell. This is the first time that any of us had read any of her books, and I think that we were all very pleasantly surprised. This takes place around Halloween. This is a great, mystery, thriller, whodunit. If you're somebody that likes a good page turner, I think that we all finished this in like 2 days. It was really, really great. So we're excited to get into it, and I'm going to grab our first drink. All right, we're back with our first drink. I made a Phantom of the Forest. So this was gin, Saint Germain, lime juice, and our special edition of spruce beer. I've been so excited to try to have the girls try it, and we'll see what they think.
Yay, cheers.
Cheers.
It's very pretty presentation-wise.
That's really tasty.
Every time we record, I'm like, oh, I got my new favorite drink.
No, literally, I'm like, I want to make this. I think it's
So
a
good.
spruce beer that I'm
That
tasting
is
that I've never
so
tasted
good.
before because it's so cool.
Yeah.
The spruce beer is, the first time I tried spruce beer, I was like, oh, it's kind of like pine sol. But that was a really weird way. I think it's correct, the right way to describe it. But it's not like drinking chemicals, I promise.
No.
Yeah, it's like the good smell aspect of pine sol,
Yeah.
not like the
Yeah.
cleaning.
But
Not
yeah, no.
drinking bleach.
It's just really hard to get a hold of because I think you can only get it, I want to say, in Quebec.
Ooh.
Yeah. But
I like it. It's very tasty.
luckily, we had a family member that recently visited.
All right, so I'm going to ask the tried question that I've asked like multiple times. Did you go in blind? Did you know what to expect?
I mean, I went in blind. Shocker.
Per
usual.
Yeah.
But I really didn't know what to expect with this book. I mean, I thought that there was going to be, a missing person or something just based on the cover with the like flashlights and everything.
Yeah.
And it said that she's also the author of Search Party, which I haven't read. None of us have. But I assumed it was going to be just maybe she was like into missing persons cases or something like that. So I thought that's what it was going to be all about. Definitely was not right.
That's fun. Yeah, I knew just a tiny bit, like way back when in, I want to say February or March, when I was giving book options, I had looked into all of the books that we had lined up. And so this one, I pretty much just knew teenagers, takes place after Halloween, someone's dead. And so I would say that's like half blind. Like I didn't know a ton about the story. But yeah, I was pleasantly surprised. It was a fun little eerie book and set me into the fall vibe, even though it's not fall yet, but made me feel like it was fall time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I also went in somewhat blind, though. I actually kind of cheated myself out where I read the executive editor's little note. But I only read the first paragraph because she says, like, I love suspense setting in the woods and suspense involving missing girls. And then I was like, oh, and that's where I stopped reading that. So that's like kind of all I knew, which I mean, One Dark Night in the Woods, like that wasn't too much of a spoiler. I feel like I was more surprised and like excited about it as I kept reading because I did feel like it just wrapped you so well into the like world that they were in.
It's it, yeah.
That I was like,
But gave you just enough. Like it wasn't full of twists necessarily, but it's just
Yeah.
giving you like little sneak peeks and like you're trying to
Yeah.
figure out what's happening throughout it. And it had me hooked too. Reading that little note that you just said, and also
Yeah.
the back has me wanting to read her other book, Search Party, though, because it's talked about in both.
Yeah.
And it says this is like her distinct atmospheric and ever twisting like style of writing. So I'm like, ooh. So I feel like
Okay.
that might be a fun one to read too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I did appreciate the little map in the beginning. I did feel like I got a little spoilers with not spoilers, but I was like, I saw the folly and I was like, ooh, this is like, I'm like going to show it. Like, nobody's going to see it. Like, it's like the focal point up here that I was like,
yeah.
I
And
forgot
the
to look
manner.
back at this.
I looked at it and I tried to like pay attention to it here for a second, like before I started reading, and then never went back. But this
Yeah.
would have been helpful.
It really would. I
Yeah.
completely forgot to look back. So
Oh, and they even have little like footprints and stuff and show the different paths
Wait,
that
that's so
people
fun.
walked.
yeah.
okay, so don't be like us. Don't forget to look back.
Yeah.
Like when you're reading it,
That's
and
a
they
great
name
little
a place.
addition.
Like, look at this. It's so cool. I'm used to only fantasy books having this.
I
That's
was
so
going to
fun.
say the same.
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't even think to look back because that's like a fantasy book thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I have another spoiler-free question for you guys. Pulling up to the first chapter when you see the timing and everything. Did you think we were
Yes.
going to be going through just like a 24-hour day or like...
Ooh.
I thought it was all going to be like one day. So I was excited when I saw the story keep going because I was like, oh my gosh, like how are they going to, like whose perspective am I supposed to be reading from and
Yeah.
everything? I don't know.
Yeah, that's super interesting. So I didn't necessarily think it was going to be 24 hours, but I thought I was going to have to catch somebody's alibi fall or something. So I was like paying super attention to like what was going on.
Anytime they mentioned times, I would go back to that chapter and be like, okay, who was talking? What was going on during this time?
Yes.
Did you guys flip around?
That's the way I thought it too. I didn't think about it as like going to be 24 hours. I was like, there is something that I'm supposed to catch here that we're going to hear somebody's version of events and then it's not going to align based on time. So that's what I thought.
I mean, by the time you got to the second chapter, you knew that it wasn't going to be a 24 hour or whatever, but I was just like, oh, that's what it's going to be. And then I was like, oh, but I loved how specific the times were.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, it really did help you get into the setting. And then also with the different perspective change, it let you know how much time has lapsed from that other character. Like sometimes it was only a half-hour difference. So to your point about the time shifts, I literally, the prologue starts us off at 10 and then like the next page is like chapter 1 and I was like, it's 4 hours later. Oh my gosh.
Immediately had to nix that idea.
Yeah. And like the prologue, it just starts with like the teenagers basically and their POV of like kind of setting the scene for the local lore, which I appreciate that they like dumped us right into like, here's everybody's fear.
So there's this group of teenagers who are meeting that night, and one of them at the very beginning of the book ends up dead, and this becomes a whodunit murder mystery type of book. And then we also have one of the teenagers named Ellie, and we kind of focus in on her family quite a bit in the book. We have her mom, Rachel, who's a school guidance counselor, and she's just trying to keep a handle on Ellie. She feels like she's kind of slipping through her grip a little bit. And we also have her ex-husband, who's a detective. His name's Ben, and he's dealing with his own personal issues at home too, while also trying to keep a handle on Ellie, and he's concerned about, her safety and what she's been up to. And Ellie herself is keeping secrets from her parents, including where she was that night that girl died.
Yeah, and the story is told very well where you're kind of like rotating through the different aspects of Ellie's family and getting their real perspective and just diving you so deep into like the local lore of their urban legend and how spooky it really gets. So it's a really fun read. You really get involved in the atmosphere and like just go for a ride with these characters.
Yeah, it sets off with that Ouija board where they're like asking if Sally's around or something, and it's like spelling out Sally, and like that that stuff always creeps me out. Like I know in this book it's just the kids like moving it, but I'm like I don't want to touch that.
I wouldn't get near a Ouija board with a 10-foot pole.
Okay, same.
No.
If somebody pulled out a Ouija board and I was at a party, I'm not feeling well. And I'm getting out of there. I don't mess with that stuff.
We're all on the same page.
No.
I have a crazy side tangent if we want it.
Have you used a Ouija board?
No. Okay, so I work in HR as a day job, right? And I was at a conference and I was just like chatting with people. I overheard somebody tell the most wild story and I like had to interject myself. I couldn't like let that sit. And I was like, excuse me, I'm sorry. Did you just tell me that you had to let somebody go for using a Ouija board at work?
Oh my God.
And they were like, yes. And I was like, tell me more. And they were like, yeah, this was like somebody, like I work in like a customer service field. Like I work in the back end. I don't work with our like customers, but I work in that kind of environment. And this was a team member that was member facing. And they used to allegedly, I did not work at this company. I was not involved in any of this, so I'm trying to be very vague. Allegedly. Okay, so this woman, after a particularly rough call, would go to like a private room that you could rent out in the office space, pull out a Ouija board, and curse the person they were talking to.
No.
If like the call went bad, which I was like, I'm sorry, what? Can you imagine?
That's insane.
I'm going to keep this in mind every single time I talk to anyone on the phone ever. What if they cursed you?
Yeah, I was like, how? Also, like my like stupid
telemarketers that get like,
I will never be rude again.
Yeah, I was like, my HR brain goes to like, how do you like fire them over that? Like, what is that like religion touching? Like, what? How do you like actually like say? I'm sorry, ma'am, you can't curse our clients. Like, what?
That's insane.
Yeah, so anyway, speaking of Ouija boards, I read that and I was like, well, at least they're not cursing anybody. Like, at least they're like asking questions and like trying to gain knowledge. I don't know. I agree with you though. Like if a Ouija board's coming out, I don't really want to mess with it. Mm-hmm. I think I don't understand enough, and nor do I want to understand enough.
I don't feel like I would even ask that many questions. I would just be like, oh, I know enough to know that I don't need to be around that.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my fun little Ouija board side tangent.
That's insane.
That is
I love
really
that.
crazy. Of all the things you could have said, like,
Yeah, I
not
really
that.
did not.
Yeah, no.
I thought you were just gonna say like you at a party or something, someone brought out a Ouija board
Nope.
and like used it, and like, okay, that's crazy.
No, this was like at a work event. Somebody was, which is also like, I am nosy, but I feel like I had to interject and
Oh,
be like,
yeah.
I need the story. I'm sorry.
Oh,
like,
100%.
You
what?
can't just bring that up and not explain what
Yeah, I was like, I'm sorry, go back. Because I think they were like doing like a little inside joke of like, well, I could always curse them or something. And I was like, tell me more. So yeah.
Wild.
Yeah, that's corporate America for you. You can curse people.
Oh my gosh.
Just kidding. Just
now I wonder
kidding.
how many times I've been cursed on a Ouija board by
No,
someone.
Yeah,
right?
right.
You can buy it at the store. No.
Yeah, it's in the toy aisle.
Yeah, not a toy.
No.
Not a toy.
Entertainment.
I mean, can you even put yourself like in someone's like? Okay, if we're all the people that would say, nope, I'm not doing that. But let's
Yeah.
pretend for a moment that you were delusional enough to actually play with a Ouija board in the woods, telling ghost stories
Oh, yeah,
next
yeah.
to the haunted tower.
Where the legend begins.
Yeah. How, like, I mean, the beginning of any nightmare ever.
Yeah,
like,
literally.
yeah.
I feel like that's like classic teenager though. Like I feel like teenagers are just stupid enough sometimes to do shit like I think a lot of teenagers like one person brings out the Ouija board and then everyone else is like they don't want to be the person that's chicken and is like trying to shut down the idea. So like, okay, like I guess we'll do it. Like I don't know. I feel like peer pressure, that kind of situation could definitely happen. But like, it's just so crazy.
I would be so scared.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say, what do you do in that scenario? Because it's like,
Pee your pants.
yeah, because like if you want to leave, you have to walk further into this like allegedly haunted woods where this like
Yeah.
spirit lives.
I just curl up into a ball and like cry. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would be not doing well.
And while they're like telling all these spooky ghost stories, they think they see something.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, at what point are you okay? Most of us are saying that we would just walk away before it even starts.
Yeah.
But at what point in this are you dipping? Like,
At the party.
yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna make eyes for my people that are also like, ooh, a Ouija board just came out, and I'm gonna be like,
Exactly.
let's go. At that
Yes.
point, I'm not gonna stick around. But like, if I'm looking and everybody's all in, I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
scared.
I'd be
Yeah.
scared to leave alone. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like it would have to be, leaving alone. That's really
Yeah.
the kicker.
I almost would just like grab the Ouija board and like throw it off a cliff. Be like, oops, my bad. I'm so sorry. I guess we should all go home.
That is the perfect answer. That's the
Yes.
only answer.
Yeah, you're right, Bethany. You just confront it head on.
Say nope.
It's
Yeah.
not happening today.
And
Thanks,
they made their own Ouija board.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah, that's even more.
How deep into it do you have to be to even know how to set that up? Like you're just
No.
like, oh, I remember what my Ouija board at home looks like. So let me just do this
Ugh.
real quick.
I want some lore on that student, whoever did that. I feel like they could have a whole book of what the hell happened to them to lead to that scenario.
Yeah.
They
So-
grow up to curse their
That's the person, yeah.
coworkers and
They go in the back room at work and
Yeah.
then they grab like the office supplies to make their makeshift Ouija board.
yeah, right.
Yeah, but after that chapter, we go into our first chapter where we're jumping to somebody else who's like in a car and he just dropped off a couple of like people who
Yeah.
he was like taxiing.
Yeah.
And then he sees like a blur in front of him that causes him to almost like crash
Yeah.
his car. And then he's like, well, I won't think of that for another few days until like something happens on the news or something.
Yeah.
And then that's all we hear from him. And I almost forgot that that happened until later in the book when he comes back into play. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God, wait, that was a chapter that we read.
No, dude, I think I straight up wrote at one point. I was like, oh, he's dead. Yeah, I did. I was like, because he was like, it's spinning out.
Yeah.
Trying to avoid. And I was like, dead.
Yeah.
Another one for the local legend.
Sally.
Yeah, for Sally. Yeah.
So we've gone into a little bit of spoiler-free discussion, but now we are going to get into spoilers. So if you haven't read the book, please stop here, finish the book, and come back because we're excited to see what your thoughts are too. But I think one of the first things that we should kind of just get into a little bit is just like what exactly happened here. So we've got, we're starting off with the kids in the woods and everything, and lo and behold, somebody ends up dead. And oh my gosh, can you imagine being on your
my
morning
gosh.
hike, finding this body?
No, and it's not just a body. Like that body was.
Oh.
Yeah, it was like a scene.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you start off with a Ouija board and then
Yeah.
you see it set up like this and you're like, okay, we're getting into some satanic stuff.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
and that's not my thing. So
No.
like at first, like starting off the book, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to love this because
Yeah.
it's like, there's just a few things that I don't like to touch. So I was
Yeah.
like, okay, this is actually getting a little, ooh,
Yeah.
but it's not like that. So just to
Yeah,
be
you
clear.
find out later, but there is like writing on the body, like wearing a weird
Yeah.
mask. Like,
And then we find out a little bit more, like with the way that the body was staged, like totally fit with the story of Sally. So like, and Sally's story was so scary, especially because I was like, I just got engaged. So like, we're like planning our wedding and stuff. And then you're hearing all about how like Sally's husband just like shoves her out of this tower and Sally in the woods is just like in her dress, like just this phantom in the forest haunting everybody because she was like
pissed off.
I mean, just killed by her husband, right?
Yeah.
And or soon to be husband. Did they ever end up getting married? Was it the wedding day?
You know, I'm gonna be honest. I was so scared.
I want to say it was their wedding day, and I don't remember if they had gotten married or if it was like before the wedding day. But yeah.
But I mean, just so creepy. And then where do you have to get in your wedding planning and your wedding journey to be where your fiance is going to shove you out of a tower? Because I know I've been annoying, but how annoying.
Check in with Brandon. Be like, how are you feeling?
Yeah. Are you getting to the part where you want to murder me yet? But I just thought that was so crazy. And the lore was just like all building up. And they end up identifying the body as, one of the students at the local school, which you can find on the map.
Yep, fun fact.
And it's Sarah, right? It's Sarah.
Yeah, it's Sarah.
Which I keep wanting to call her Sally still because she was dressed up as Sally for Halloween, which just made it way creepier.
Yeah. Like, why would you literally ever do that? Sorry, side tangent. But.
Oh, and I almost forgot to go into the end of Sally's story. Not only does her husband like shove her out of the tower, but then like when this body's found, there's a crow mask on it.
Oh yeah.
And they talked about how in the ghost story that the birds went after her body after the fact. So it was just like very symbolic.
Yeah.
I mean,
nasty. It felt very like the body didn't feel like, oh, happenstance. It felt like, oh, this is reality almost, or like making fiction into fact or something like that.
It seemed like somebody had got a little too obsessed with the story. So like I couldn't decide through the book. I was like, is this an actual ghost story or do we have somebody trying to pretend to be the ghost in the woods, or do we have somebody just like trying to I think one of the detectives was just like, is this a copycat person just trying to play off the lore and all of that? So it took you a few different directions for things that you could be thinking about for whodunit.
Yeah.
And we get to kind of start off with the students and figure out who was in the woods that night. And our primary suspect, I want to say starting off, was Danny.
Yeah, Danny was like the, I guess, love interest. Like they were talking, they weren't really dating, but you kind of find out right away there was some trouble in paradise there.
Yeah.
And so that's where we start to like question, like, did Danny do something? Was it Danny's brother? I think his name was Connor.
Yeah.
Because there was some like fight there. Connor showed up and Danny and Connor were arguing. And so you're looking into all these students. We also have, I think her name was Olivia, which was Sarah's cousin.
Yeah.
And she was the one to try to kind of give some information at first, because once it came out, like, oh yes, we did sneak out. Like we weren't where we said we were.
Yeah.
She started to give the lore of like who Danny is and kind of what was going down that night.
Yeah. And then we've also got our mysterious like watcher in the woods. Because when the kids were messing around with the Ouija board, they thought they saw somebody. So like you're kind of suspicious of like, okay, who maybe could have been there.
Or was anybody
even there?
Who knows? Yeah, it was so creepy.
And then you also have, Sarah's suspicious person that texted her while they were all out, and we don't know who that person was.
Yeah. And we also kind of, because we follow Ellie's family POV, you as the reader are kind of sus of Ellie, because she wakes up like she's like almost traumatized from what happened the night before, but you don't know what's fully happened, only that a body's been discovered. And then she's like got clothes that are covered in blood, so you're like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Are we following the killer and her trying to get away with it? Like the story kind of holds your hand through almost believing that to be true.
Yeah, which it does a few different times with different suspects. But with her, she like had dumped the clothes somewhere and she still was lying about where she had been. Yeah. Even when all the other students had come forward and gave their account of the night. And she wasn't on the list, like the other students telling like, oh, this student was also here. This student, nobody was saying that she was there.
No.
Like they were all keeping it quiet, which was crazy because her mom's in the school, like as a school counselor, her dad's a cop.
Her dad's investigating this.
Yeah, literally. So for her to be the one that's getting like almost protected in a way and like kept away from it was like really weird to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was one of the first things that her and Jazz had talked about. She was like, no one can know I was there. And it was like, why are you the only one that no one can know you were there?
Right. Well, and she plays it off so well as like, because her mom and dad are actually separated in this story. I don't think we mentioned that yet, but like, recently divorced, and it is not like looking good with their relationship. Like she was able to sneak out by lying to her dad by saying her mom wanted her back suddenly, and her dad was just instantly mad at her mom without even like calling her or asking like, hey, why are you changing the plan? Like just went with it and was like, oh, fine, whatever.
Yeah, very passive aggressive, like from both of them.
Yeah.
And she was so sneaky because she had him drop her off at her mom's house and like went to the door and like unlocked it and waved to her dad just to, as soon as he pulls off, not actually go inside and sneak out and go to her friend Jasmine instead.
Yeah.
I could never be so bold.
No. Like my mom would know or something. There's, I don't know, like to actually be at the door and still hope that your mom doesn't like see you from a window or like know that you, I don't know, like that's crazy that she got away with it, but she did.
Yeah. So I do kind of want to sit with Ellie being the suspect for a second. What were your thoughts while we were following Ellie until we realized, spoiler, like ultimately it wasn't Ellie who murdered Sarah, but like how did that journey go for you?
I didn't suspect Ellie that much at the beginning because I felt like the way that the stain was originally described was like this brown reddish stain.
Yeah.
I was thinking that she threw up on herself, to be honest, or something. Like she was just really trying to get rid of her clothes. I was like, the way they're describing it is so like not saying it's blood, but it looks like blood. So I was trying to think of anything else it could be. And they were drinking, you know, some wine and stuff. So I was like, ew, you got some nasty vom. But I was like, they're trying to redirect. That's good. And then later on, she like admits that it's blood on her shirt. And I was like, whoa, maybe I've got Ellie all wrong.
Yeah.
But I still just couldn't like fully like peg her for it. Cause like, even though she was feeling so guilty and everything, it just didn't seem like she had any kind of satisfaction from what had happened or any kind of closure. So I feel like if it had been something that was leading up to it, or if she had actually been the one who had done it, that she would have just been reacting slightly differently.
Yeah, that's fair. I feel like the book kind of early on wanted you to point to her as maybe a possible suspect, which always has me like not believing it because I'm like, this is too early. You're making it a little bit sus about Ellie, which means to me it's not her. Yeah. So I didn't really think it was her, even though it was a little bit setting up for it. I definitely fell for one of the other people it sets up for, but Ellie, I felt like it was too early for me to believe that I would have figured out the suspect and the book would be pointing me in the direction of it.
Yeah. See, for me, because I went in so blind, I was like, oh, maybe this is like an interesting storytelling like aspect where it's like you're following the killer. Because she did say a couple of times in her like own thinking, like one step ahead. And that had me a little sus because I was like, what are you stepping ahead of? Like, murder? Like, I don't know. So
I think it might be like what Bethany was saying, just about it being like too early, where I was just like, there's just something about this that like it can't be, but I see what you're trying to do and it's good.
Yeah.
But it was set up well.
Yeah.
I was like, very well. For whatever reason, I'm just going to not believe you. Though.
Yeah. I think if we didn't have any of that information until like 3/4, I'd be like, ooh, I didn't see that coming. Like that's definitely her. But it just felt I was like, we can't have 250 more pages and me have figured this out too easily.
There was also the part once they established time of death, it was very easy to rule certain people out.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. Okay. So here's a question for you. Kind of talking about, we talked about a good chunk of suspects. Who was your first one to like rule out? Was it really Ellie?
Ruling out? Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think for me it was like Danny and Connor. I was like,
yeah.
They were also just like too obvious.
I don't think I considered
like,
them very much.
Yeah, I was like, it can't be just as straightforward as, I mean, it wasn't her real like actual boyfriend, but it can't be just like the love interest or like the love interest. I don't know. It felt too like cliche almost. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I would agree. And he had the black eye and everything. And you're like, oh, you know, that's just going to be from something else.
Yeah.
Like if we got to the end and it really was just Danny all along, I feel like this would not, like it would not have been as strong of a book. Like, that's not.
I will say overall, I think that there was a lot of times where I was just like, I see what you're trying to do there, but you can't get me. But I loved how she really did have some kind of like plausibility and everything. And I felt like you really were going through this book kind of from like the perspective almost like of the detective. And you're like, you're getting all your clues, you're getting to go through it in a certain way. So I think the whodunit part of that was done really well, where it's not like other books where they're like, wow, I'm missing a bunch of information, and then I get all the lore dumping at the end or something.
And you never could have seen it. Yeah. And there were little like things that would happen, like a face in the window or something, and then later on you figure out who it is, and it all fits together. Like I thought she did a really good job of like working the story in ways that you didn't understand at the time, but like at the end, it all fits together really well.
Yeah, it just felt very interactive. I felt like I was getting lots of good clues, but it wasn't anything that was super in your face and still left you wondering. I think that's what made it such a page turner.
Yeah.
And you had so many suspects to choose from.
Yeah. And we talked about it being kind of like you're the detective going through it and you're following detective's point of view. And it made me think like there are a lot of thriller books that are just like detective books. And this didn't read like that at all.
No.
Like you are getting a lot of info from like, you have POVs from the detective or you're hearing about their investigation, but it really is like so much more than that. Like it doesn't read like that. So don't let that scare you if you're not into detective
I don't
stories.
even know how I would describe like the point of view in this book.
Yeah.
That was something that I struggled with while I was going through.
It just flips to so many different people. I feel like it did a really great job of you getting to know all of the characters that you need to in this book and feeling like invested in all of those. And there was no point of view that I would get to and be like, I'm bored of this point of view. Like every time I get to a new point of view, I'm like, ooh, awesome. I get some more info on this person.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think why this didn't feel so like detective-y is because when you're following the detective's POV, he's got his own like personal drama going on with his like new girlfriend and like ex-wife, and then you get ex-wife's POV and she's got her own stuff going on with ex-husband and like the daughter Ellie like kind of going through her own stuff, and then also like things at the school being a little bit weird, and because she's the counselor for the students, so it's like after this huge tragedy all of a sudden you're like ripped into what it's like to like counsel grieving students and what that is like. And then Ellie's POV. So it's like the characters are dynamic enough not to just be like, I am mother, I am father, a detective. Like it's like every twist, even if you're not getting more from the mystery, you're getting more like as to like, okay, what happened between mom and dad?
That's such like, a good way to put it, because I wouldn't say this is like the most plot twisty book necessarily. No. Like you do have different suspects you're looking into, but what really drives the
there's
story,
one big twist.
Yes.
Yeah. I would argue as well.
But what drives the story is all of those little sneak peeks we get into their lives, because there's so much drama and things happening that's outside of this like crime scene situation. And she did just an excellent job writing that. Like I think she could definitely write in other genres successfully too, because she just wrote really interesting characters.
Yeah, she did.
I would itch to read a fantasy book by her.
Ooh,
like if she, especially with her little map at the beginning, maybe that's what's good. But I feel like it could be done.
Like she would do a great job building a world and building characters. Absolutely.
Yeah. Let me read a mystery book.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hannah Richell, please.
Yes. I can see it.
We'll cover it on our podcast.
Yes. It'll be great. But no, I mean, to your point too, I think that she did a really excellent job in choosing how these family dynamics were going to work to make the story work so well. So I really liked what was going on between Rachel and the husband, and their occupations made it just really perfect for getting into the bits and pieces of the story that you needed to, because you get from Rachel's point of view with her being the school counselor, she gets to be there with all the kids and like you hear everything that's going on with that. And I just loved how well thought out it was.
Yeah.
Nothing felt like an afterthought.
Okay, so I want to talk so much more about the family, but I also feel like my drink might be running low. So let's pause here, make our next drink. I think I'm making the next drink, and I kind of want to talk about the family drama. So join us for the family drama. All right, welcome back. So if you saw our little TikTok, you saw our little like slap the bag. If you didn't, I guess you gotta go look. But yeah, to fill in the blanks about what are we drinking here, it is boxed wine. And to be most specific, I went to the grocery store and intentionally looked for the cheapest boxed wine. Not because I'm a cheapskate, because I was like, what would a teenager do that has boxed wine at a party? They would be like, this one was $19 after tax. Like, that's ridiculous.
For 7 bottles of wine.
For 7 bottles of wine. That's what I'm doing. So with that in mind, here we go, ladies.
Cheers.
Cheers. Can't wait.
Too old for this. That's not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
No, it's just kind of like barefoot.
Oh, it has a weird aftertaste.
It does, actually.
It tastes like metal.
It does.
It literally tastes like have a penny in my mouth.
Yeah.
Yep. That's the nostalgia that you
taste.
taste.
That's the nostalgia.
Okay, I thought it was pretty decent. Like it wasn't Too strong.
It's just the aftertaste. It's a
smooth.
little
Yeah.
metallic.
and then
for
there's
sure.
pennies in your mouth.
Yeah.
It's great.
There's pennies in your mouth. Yeah.
Does that mean you're having a stroke?
Yeah, wait.
Are we all tasting this, or is
Is
this
it
just
burnt
me?
toast?
Yeah.
No, I definitely also taste that.
I was
Yeah.
like so fine with it, and then
I mean,
Yeah,
I'll
it's
do
just
one
the
more.
aftertaste. It's the same thing with like, I mean, taking us back to our terrible beer memory, but like it's good. It's fine for a second with the meal when I don't taste it, but it's the aftertaste that I can't.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, I'm going to be honest. This is going to be one crazy hangover, though.
Oh
for
yeah,
sure.
if we just drank like a
Yeah.
bunch of that.
If
Mhm.
we've been, this is, I think you poured 3 glasses of wine.
Is this like half a bottle?
I mean, it's easily 2 glasses.
Who knows? There were so many bottles in the bag. Who knows?
And now we chug.
And then now we chug. Yeah, so nostalgia factor, you know? Yeah. Yeah, it's almost like a little flavorless in my opinion.
Yeah, I
Like,
expected
it's-
it to be like really pungently alcohol, but I don't
Yeah.
taste that strong for it to be
Bethany
9%.
was just like, this is going to be violent.
Yeah.
thought it
I was
was gonna be
ready for
bad,
it.
yeah.
Yeah,
and I got used to the metal aftertaste. So,
yeah.
We're good
this is
now.
my go-to drink now.
Yeah. Drink of choice.
Yep, I'll be buying this.
Yeah, until you have the
Maggie
hangover
shows-
and
yeah.
then you're like never again.
Bethany shows up everywhere. She's just got her bag of wine in her purse.
Slap the bag, guys.
She's
My
always
friends
ready
taught
for
me
a
this
party.
new thing. You guys haven't slapped the bag? Let me show you.
See, I missed the stage.
That's what I wish would have happened, actually,
Yeah,
is that
yeah.
you only had her slap the bag, and then she went around telling everybody that that's how you do it. And then she was just like, nope, you do that, and then she tucks it right back into the box.
That's what I thought the thing was, and I was
Yeah.
so confused why we were doing that.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No, we weren't brave enough to actually slap the bag, but
Yeah.
we did give it a little love tap.
Yeah, I did tell Bethany a lie. I was like, yeah, it's super fun. All you do is
If you haven't seen the chaotic video yet, you just head on over to TikTok, and then maybe this will make a little more sense.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fine. Anyway, so we wanted to talk about family drama, which I think is perfect with like, a tall glass of wine, So with that being said, who do we want to start? Where do we want to start with their family drama? I'm like so excited.
I feel like the first inkling we get into it is really when Ellie is talking to her mom, and her mom's trying to like suss out what happened like at her dad's or something. She's just trying to ask questions because she can tell Ellie's acting weird, and she's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you must be talking about the new baby he's about to have."
Oh my God.
And yeah, that was like the first bombshell. We're just like, oh, okay. Because
Yeah.
I feel like she did that very deliberately. She's like, let's deflect off of what you're currently asking me, and let's talk about this thing I know you don't know because I just found out like today.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I never really like thought back on that after
Yeah.
it happened. At the time, I was just like, oh man, what a way to find out. I thought for sure that she thought her mom did know.
I
But
don't.
I don't. Yeah, no.
Yeah, I think Ellie was trying to like skirt out because this
Yes.
is also kind of when we're like supposed to be a little bit suspicious of Ellie too.
Because this is the guy that her dad's now dating, but they started dating like the literal night that her mom kicked her dad out. She was like, we just need some
Yes.
space. Like, we need to just spend some time away. We don't know why at first. We get into that a little bit later in the book. They went through a family tragedy and definitely felt some distance amongst themselves. And so she was like, you need to just go stay somewhere else for a little bit. And that night he went to a bar and met this girl named
Yeah.
Chrissy. And then they've just been together ever. Like, he went and stayed with her
Dude,
at that point. Like, the
I
day
need to
he
know-
separates from his wife.
I need to know your thoughts on that.
Yeah,
I think
no,
that you
not
have
good.
to date somebody for 6 months before.
Not that one night. You wouldn't move into someone that you meet at the bar?
Oh
that
my
night?
gosh. I had so many thoughts and feelings about everything that went down between the dad and Chrissy specifically.
Yes.
Like their
Yep.
relationship dynamic, while it wasn't the focus in the story, it was so interesting.
Yep.
And in the best and worst ways, like it was so healthy and so toxic at the same time. Because okay, so spoiler alert, they don't end up having the baby. Unfortunately, she miscarries. Very
Yes.
sad.
Yeah.
Everyone's feeling like not
There's a
good about
lot of
that
feelings
situation.
about it. Yeah.
Yeah. No one, but in the same breath, they take the time to evaluate their situation again and say, okay, is this what we want? And I really did like that moment where they were like, okay, this isn't working. Maybe we were trying to force this to work. And he was dealing with a lot of feelings too, just as his, ex-wife
Yeah.
and daughter are going through all of this. And like you said before, it was a very recent divorce. This has all been happening within the past year. So to go
Yeah.
from, I've been married to this woman for forever,
Yeah.
I've lost my sister, we're
Mm-hmm.
dealing with a bunch of family grief. Now I'm, with somebody else, and 12 months later, she's pregnant. Like,
Yeah. Not even 12. I feel like it was so it was that such a bad sip.
It's really bad. It was instant though. They were it was pretty soon after.
Yeah.
It's just pure metal in my mouth.
Should I just go grab some
Is it
spare
just-
change?
is it just
Yeah.
wet?
Yeah.
Yum.
Yeah. It's like somehow both wet and dry at the same
Yeah.
time.
It's really something. It's just happening.
Yeah.
It's like
It's-
white wine with like 2 drops of blood in it is what I'm tasting. It's just so metallic and disgusting.
Where the color comes
Yeah.
from.
Yeah. I mean, who
How
knows?
on brand
Who
with
knows?
the murder book.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
I thought way more about it than I thought I did.
Metallic notes to represent all the blood spills.
Oh,
Yeah.
yay.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Sorry to interrupt though. Chrissy, yeah. I had a moment. So I feel like I've read too many Frida McFaddens, and without giving away my like sneak peek into Frida, I have like a method that I predict most of Frida's books. And that formula that I use, I accidentally apply to other books I read too. And I'm like, it's going to be this person. And not everybody writes like Frida does. This is not a Frida book. It's not, I wouldn't say even similar to her writing at all. But in my head, I saw Chrissy and I was like, what if she's the person who killed?
Ooh.
I don't know why yet, but that's like, you know, very Frida-esque. You have no idea why people
Yeah.
do stuff until you do. I had a moment where I was like, you know, that's kind of weird of her to like find this guy who's
Yeah.
like newly separated. He just left his like wife and immediately dive into a relationship with him. I was like, what if she's not even pregnant and this is all manipulation, like
Ooh.
keep him and
Yeah.
like I didn't know how it all tied together, but that was my first person that I actually suspected, but it was just because of my weird like Frida mind.
Are you just like looking for clues, or are you a
Yeah.
vibe reader?
No, I'm always looking.
I'm always looking. I just have a very specific thing I look for, specifically Frida's books, but it does apply to others too. I mean, I can share it, but then
No.
you're gonna see it in all of Frida's books and
No,
you'll
no,
figure
no.
it out.
No, comment below if you think you know.
Yeah. What's Bethany's secret formula?
Yeah, it's very specific. I mean, it's not very specific. I guess it's like just this one thing to keep in mind, and it almost always.
I
is
need
the
to read a
killer.
few more Fridas. I've only
Yeah.
read like 2
Yeah.
or 3, but they've all been good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely. So now you saying that, to my point of being like a looker, I'm like, okay, now I have to read all of her books and see what the
No, do
formula
it.
is. So I have to figure out the
Once
formula.
I think I saw it on book like 3 of hers, and then I
Yeah.
kept seeing it over and over. And to me, it's like so simple. I just look for the specific type of character in her book.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know
So
if it's
you
just,
figured out how she whips out so many books.
Yeah, I sort of. I mean, it still takes a lot of writing though, but
Oh,
I
yeah.
figured out how she formulates her person who's going to be the suspect. It doesn't work for every single one of them, but it is a large majority, I would say. So I tried that in this one, and that would have been Chrissy in this book.
Yeah.
And that's not the answer, but
To your point, though, I was a little bit like, ooh, this is moving a little fast
Yeah.
with them. And I did almost question her, not necessarily because the book gave us any reason to, but I did think with her being pregnant, Ben and Chrissy wouldn't last because of Gemma being a midwife, it seems. I was like, this baby's going to bring in so much resentment. Not resentment, but like make him face his grief like head on. And he was not ready for that. That's why he like
No.
fled Rachel. What?
No, I so wish that the book would have like gone into that.
I
like,
thought it was
mindset
going to
a little bit, but that's so right.
Yeah.
Because we didn't really know that whole situation until a lot later in the book. So should we
Yeah.
talk about Gemma?
Yeah. Yeah. Let's talk about her.
Yeah.
So the reason why they separated in the first place was because he went through such a tragedy losing his sister, and he just wasn't able to, I guess, cope with that in a very healthy way, and it caused a lot of distance between him and his wife.
Yeah.
And she just said, like, you know, you need to just like go basically process, spend some time apart, not necessarily permanently, but
Mind you,
just,
see, she's a therapist
Yes,
also. So
yeah.
this is really coming from this is what I feel is best for you.
Right.
Tough love at a certain point, because he just kind of stopped talking to her, and she was like, you really need to let me in.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. So that was kind of hard to read because it's like, I don't think she wanted to like divorce this guy. I think she was like, something has to break here.
Yeah.
This isn't working. What we're doing
Yeah.
right now, like, let's just take a little bit of space. But then
Yeah.
him taking that space that same night went and met Chrissy, and that was it. Like,
Which was so toxic because he was like basically like, don't do this to me. I'm never going to come back if you
Literally,
do. Like
yeah.
trying to put it on her and I was proud of her for like sticking her ground where she's like, if that's what you do, that's what you do.
Yeah.
But this is what I think you need.
yeah. That was, I just can't imagine like putting myself into her shoes, like your
Yeah.
spouse doing that. Like,
Yeah.
just that same, like, I
Yeah.
just can't. Like, I'm married and I pictured myself in that situation. I was like,
Yeah.
I would freak out. Like, I'd be
Yeah.
unwell.
Kudos to her though for the level of self-respect that she had.
Yes.
Like when she was, putting it out on the table and saying, listen, I've done everything that I can do. This is the
Yeah.
only other thing that I can see as a way to move forward.
Mhm.
And then he gave her that, well, if I go, I'm not coming back. And she's like, then that will be your choice.
Yes.
Right.
And I like that line. I was just like, yes, you
Mhm.
go, girl.
Yes.
She's going to be okay. And
Yeah.
she
Yeah.
has made a decision and made it clear that he can make his own too. Like you were,
Yeah.
Sticking to her guns. Yeah.
Yeah.
no one can make you do anything.
Yeah.
You make choices.
And
Yeah.
I loved, like, it's part of why I said she could write in any genre, because I loved that throughout the book, you could see some tension between them and in almost a good way. Like, I think you could tell that they both still like each other, and they both like had, you know, feelings of almost regret over the whole situation.
Yeah.
And at the end of the book, I mean, we're past spoilers. So
Yeah.
if you're still here, stop. But at the end of the
Yeah.
book, we have a little, like, I don't remember what the exact wording is, but they both like hold a stare a little bit longer. Like
Yeah.
they're talking a little bit. And I think it's
Yeah.
Ellie who sees it.
Mhm.
And like that made me happy. I'm like, okay, I
Yeah.
think they're going to maybe have a little rekindling, because
Yeah.
it seemed like they were in a healthy marriage until that he just didn't know how to deal with the grief that he went
Yeah.
through.
I have thoughts on the ending as well.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
was very, I don't know, it was good to read. And just, I liked the parts where he was talking about not knowing where home was.
Yes.
And I thought that
Yeah.
was so good because he would always refer to Chrissy's.
Yes, I did pick up on that
Yep.
so quick. And that's how I was like, every time we got his POV with Christy, I was like, this isn't going to last. And I don't think it's necessarily because he loves Rachel so much and has to go back to her. I think it's because he's not ready for what he signed up for. And the baby, especially tying into his relationship with Gemma, because we do get like a little sneak peek at Gemma, his sister, midwife, helped Rachel deliver Ellie into the world, and that seemed like such a like impactful thing for their family as a whole. Like it seemed to like knit them all that much tighter.
Yeah.
And I just felt like, because obviously Chrissy's like her own person, she's doing her own thing, she's going to doctor's visits, she's not necessarily, it seemed like she wasn't having a midwife, which I felt like was totally gonna like, I didn't know as I was reading that they were going to end up losing the baby, but I had thought that that journey in and of itself would like crumble their relationship, where he would like have to back out as a father and like kind of wrestle with that. So
That was a really good insight.
Yeah.
I didn't think that.
No, it adds a level of depth to the character that I don't even think, just for the fact that like he didn't really like actively think about it or whatever though.
yeah,
But I feel like that's exactly how he would have had to confront
Yes.
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think goes into how well she wrote these characters for
Yeah.
you to be able to make that kind of insight and pick up on those things and predict. Like,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that, I mean, we were talking about in our last read, Taylor Jenkins Reid, she writes her character, you know, those characters.
Yeah.
Like you walk out of your book, your
Yeah.
experience, and you're just like, man, they're in my heart forever. And then you read a book like this where it's like you didn't get that same level of everything, but you can
Yeah.
still. So I respect that a lot.
yeah.
Yeah, they
they're
had a
well
lot of
done.
depth to them for sure. Yeah, I feel like with the whole Chrissy situation, you could tell that she wanted everything from, like, she wanted that whole family unit. She wanted
Yes.
everything, but there was already tension there where like he'd answer a call from Rachel or he'd go like talk to her and she's like,
Yeah.
oh, you were at Rachel's, like you were talking to her.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, like, you know, I was just dropping Ellie off and we had a quick conversation. Like you could tell there was some tension there. And
Yeah.
I can understand that from Chrissy's POV to an extent. Obviously they got together literally right after they separated, but she's thinking like, you're with me now. We live together.
Yeah.
We're going to have this baby. We have our own family.
Yeah.
So I think she could tell that there was still something there.
Yeah.
And so then when she did lose the baby, it was kind of like the nail
Yeah,
in
it
the
was
coffin
like-
of their little relationship for her.
And he said that she never did anything wrong, that
Yeah.
she was always
Yeah.
super nice and this and that, but sometimes people just aren't meant for each other.
Yeah.
And I thought that that was really well written for
I
just
did
like,
too.
it was
Yeah.
just not a good match.
Yeah.
Accidents happen, but everyone tried.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's something to be said for just like the lack of any time between, like, he had just left
Yeah.
his
Oh,
wife.
yeah.
Like that's, I feel
Yeah.
like not a recipe for success in general.
No, it was like a rash decision that
Yeah.
he made. And then they were just in a situation they never expected to be in.
Just
Yeah.
immediately living together, immediately like,
So, I mean, like, obviously, you know, he and Chrissy weren't meant to be, but with going back to Rachel a little bit and getting more insights from her character, like, did you guys think that they were going to get back together or she wanted to get back together with Ben? Or did you think that she had seemed like she had moved on in a way that he hadn't?
I feel like she still had feelings there. Like, I think I would say at least she cared for him deeply, and whether
Yeah.
that turned into actual feelings again was up for debate, but I could tell that she still had, like, she cared for him.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think they both loved each other still.
Yeah.
I think they hurt each other and he reacted to your point, like instantly that night, and made like, he put it as like the final nail in their relationship. But I do think that was like an emotional response. And whereas I think that maybe with Rachel's like being a therapist and like having more intel on her emotions, just because that's her whole world, I think she knew that she hurt Ben and then he hurt her, and she was like, oh, we have a kid together, like you're gonna do your own thing. I think she was still in love with him, but not necessarily romantically. I think she saw him as like a partner in raising their child together, and still had respect for him even though he hurt her.
Yeah, for me, it kind of, I pictured her almost, I mean, if anybody watches Grey's Anatomy, maybe they'll get it. But there comes a point for Meredith Grey where she's like, I don't need him, but I want him. And I thought that that was kind of the point that Rachel got to in this book, where she was like, she was doing it on her own. She was fine. She made her decisions. She understood where her boundaries were. And she said, I'm not dealing with that relationship. I'm breaking up with the relationship. I'm not losing my feelings for this person. And I'm okay with not continuing the way that we were. But it was clear that she still like wanted him.
Yeah.
So I just thought it was really nice.
Yeah.
That was well said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they weren't like, for two people that like, yes, they had that animosity, you know, between each other, being in a broken family and everything. I still think that they did a good job with their communicating, despite the fact most of the time in these books, I will complain like, wow, you're not even bringing this up. And it's going on and on and on and on. Yeah. But those two did seem to manage to talk about it eventually.
Yeah.
And it wasn't as long as usual, where it gets annoying, where it was like, there'd be the, oh my gosh, why didn't you say it right away? But it would be like the next chapter. And I was like, okay, I'm going to let it go this time. But there was a couple times where I was like, am I going to get mad?
Yeah.
And then,
I don't know. To me, I did one time though, because the one time where they didn't know where she was that night, and they'd be like, oh, well, if you weren't calling her back early, and she's like, oh, I'll just leave it for now. Like, they didn't talk about it a couple times where like one of them made a passive aggressive comment about like
a couple of times.
Yeah, a couple of times, until it took a little while for that one. And I was like, can you guys just like figure this shit out? Like, you guys clearly both are upset about the situation and aren't picking up. Like, I don't know. I feel like him saying like, if you didn't call her back, like you should stick to our weekend plans. I feel like I'd immediately be like, what are you talking about? Like, I didn't do that. Like, I don't know. Instead, she just like let it go.
Well, it says she like sent a question, because their initial conversation is over text.
But then they do it again in person too.
Yes, they do.
And she still lets it go.
Yeah. Yeah.
That one
Yeah,
drove
you're
me
right.
insane.
She does.
But
Yeah.
other than that one scenario, I do agree that they did actually communicate with each other, which was refreshing, because that's very common in books for it to be like a miscommunication. The miscommunication trope is like my least favorite thing in the world.
it's so funny that you say that though, because that's exactly the communication that I'm talking about.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, where I'm saying like it started to annoy me.
Okay, yes.
But it was the way that it was written didn't bug me enough to actually get upset about it. Because usually I'm like, my gosh, is that how you're going to start your whole book off? Like, I can create a miscommunication book right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't.
I was going to say, I can pull from real life experiences too.
Yeah, exactly. But I thought that they did a good job where it was not just like failure to communicate and like being selfish, but they were very much like, oh, I just don't want to get into this with them right now.
Yeah,
or I'm going to like, we'll figure this out and things like that. So I was like, all right, I know we're going to get there. You're setting it up where they're going to talk. But if she didn't add that extra sentence for like, this is coming later, I would have been losing my mind. Because it was annoying.
Well, and to your point too, the book did take place in less than a week. Like, this moved quick.
It did.
It wasn't that long,
Yeah, it was like 4 days. Like, it was really fast.
It was like one of those things though where I had to make a mental note, and I was like, am I getting upset?
Yeah.
To me, I just wish they communicated in the beginning though, because like he gets told by Ellie, you know, her mom's calling her back. But if he's upset about it, then just like call the mom and be like, why do you, like, we already made this plan, why are you switching up our weekend? Like, I feel like, I don't know, but that's for the plot.
It's for the plot.
I do agree with you though, because I was thinking that in the back of my mind. I was like, if you're really upset about it, why aren't you? But she did kind of write herself an out, where she was like, I wonder if Ellie texted her upset about the news about the baby. So it's like almost plausible deniability, where he was like, I don't want to get into like knowing that that's why Ellie left. Like, that hurts my heart. So I'm just going to not.
It was just all those background thoughts that I was just like, thank you. Yeah. Thank you for justifying it. That's what it is. It was a difference that it was justified miscommunication. And it wasn't just like like,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna throw my personal fit between me and me
That's
because
fair,
I'm
yeah.
so angry, and
Yeah,
that's
like-
how most books are.
Yeah, you're right. They do that.
That's
It's
so
kind
true.
of annoying.
It
Yeah.
is, but you could see their, as you said, their thought process. Like
Yeah,
that does
yeah.
help it.
Just
made
give
it less
me the thought
frustrating.
process. Make
Yeah.
them more relatable versus just being like the annoying character where you're just like, if you could just do this one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like just pick up the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, where it's like, oh, if it's somebody call, like even when the phone calls and stuff. Okay, unfortunately, going back to Chrissy's miscarriage,
Yeah.
like when he's dealing with that and Rachel's calling and calling, he's like, this is more important.
Yeah.
And in that moment, he was right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
With
was.
the information that he had, absolutely. So in
Yeah.
that moment, am I mad at him for not picking up the phone?
No.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true. Because obviously you want him to, because you know what the phone call is. But in his head, he's like, she's already been mad that I'm like talking
Yeah.
to Rachel too much, going over there. This
Yeah.
is obviously such an important moment to be there for my partner.
Yeah.
But in your head, you're reading and you're like, but it's so important what she has to say.
Yes.
Like, but
Yeah.
it does make sense.
Yeah.
And that's, just honestly well written. But
Yeah, it is.
The more that we're talking about it, the
Same.
more I'm just like, wow, I
This is
think
a
my
really good
rating
book.
might be changing a little bit. So I'm glad we haven't got there yet.
I already rated on Goodreads. Mine's in cement.
You can change it.
I know. I was like, it's not like I can't just log in and edit it, but anyway.
No, I feel like that's kind of common for me when we're talking about books, is I like it more and more as we talk about it. But there are some books that you
Yeah.
guys point out things that I didn't see that I'm like, ooh, that's like not.
Yeah.
But that this is having the opposite effect where I'm like, this was really well done. Like she did a great
Yeah,
job.
I'm not gonna lie. I spoiler alert, I was gonna come in with a 3, but it's probably not gonna be that now. I think that makes me think too, just like I feel like it's worth talking about, and sorry if it's a side tangent, but there's something to be said for reading is such a fun hobby to have and everything, but I feel like you don't get enough enjoyment out of it, or you're not having the full experience if you're not talking about your books with your friends and like having those discussions and participating. So if you're not doing that right now, get a reading buddy.
Yeah. Or join a book club. Like
Join it in the comments. We're here to chat.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
I love that we're able to do that. So just if you haven't joined a book club, you should. And if you haven't felt the need to join ours, give it a shot.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't
because
know.
I'll yap about these characters all day long.
I know. We have to like cut these short. People don't
Yeah.
understand. Like, yeah, you might only see like a few little snippets, but we sat here for probably 6 hours.
Yeah.
Talking about a
Yeah.
book.
and it makes it so much more fun. Like as you said, just reading a book is an amazing hobby too. But like reading it knowing you're gonna chat about it, like I'll make little notes like,
Yeah.
oh, I can't wait to talk about this with my buddies. Like it's just so much more fun.
Like, when's the last time that you actually like? I mean, at work or something, you might be like, "Oh, is anybody watching the same shows?" But I feel like how often do you spend a lot of time with a book, and how often do you really get to talk about it? It's like I spent 8 hours doing that thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, that
And
was
then
part
I
of my
yapped
life.
about it.
Well, and that's part of it too, where now I'm just totally going off. But I was thinking about it the other day where I was reading, and I was just going back to atmosphere a little bit. But I was like, that really was a 5-star read for me. And there was things that I can walk away with, and I'm going to look at the world a little bit differently. How often do people talk about that and like actually try to shape their experiences through their reading and apply it versus like, oh yeah, I read this book. Okay, but what did it do for you?
Yeah,
like,
right.
This is one of those hobbies where you get to take something with you from everything that you do, and it just shapes you a little bit. So
really does.
also pay attention to what you're consuming.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
But even the books that don't, like thriller books inherently probably aren't going to change your worldview. But it's still a fun way to just escape into a different little world.
Well,
Like,
I mean, and this is a thriller book, but we're also sitting here talking about the relationship dynamics between the
Absolutely.
parents. Like,
Yes.
nothing has to be one thing.
yeah,
it's
absolutely.
fun.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's it.
This is our ad for you should read a book.
Yeah. Why
Read
you
a book
should
and talk
read.
with your friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like you don't do that unless you're like in school.
Yeah. And then you're
Yeah.
reading
You
books
just
you
lose
don't
the
want to
other-
read.
I was
So
gonna
it's
say
like-
that was what got me so much in school, where I was like, I hate reading, but it's because
Yeah.
they were like, you're gonna read this book that your parents and grandparents have read.
Then you end up
every
being like the
single year.
weird Harry Potter kid that's like, who wants to talk? And
Yeah.
I see the movies and you're like, you're not the same.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
So you guys have not seen what actually just happened, but now Maggie's drink actually is low, and we are going to go grab our next drink.
Yes.
It's a magical situation where it was up to here last time you
Yeah,
saw, but
no, holy
shit went
shit.
down, and I'm gonna go grab the next one.
Yeah, that might be an exclusive on the TikTok.
Yeah, check the TikTok for that one. All right, we're back with our last drink. Very giggly. I had a lot of that terrible box wine. We'll regret that tomorrow, but it's fine. But our last drink is also a wine because a different scene in the book, the teenagers drink wine in the forest. It's referenced a handful of times. But another time we have wine is when Rachel goes to Edward's, and he's, cooking this like pasta dinner for her. He's like, just come over and have a little dinner. She can tell he's probably interested, and she's like kind of just sussing out that situation, seeing if she is too. And they pour a bottle of red, and I hate red wine, so we did sangria instead because it's still red, so it looks the same. So we'll see if this is good. Cheers.
Yay, cheers.
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 That tastes so watered
Ooh.
down. I don't taste anything.
I taste like red.
Yeah.
Oh,
Did you spill it just now?
just a drop. My Jean wanted some.
Oh.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know anything about spilling.
And now we're diving into our last suspects that we've gone through in the book. I feel like we've dove into like the family drama. We've talked a little bit about a few suspects we've had, but we got to talk about like second half of the book. We get led in a bunch of different directions.
Yeah.
And which is kind of a fun little ride. So where do we want
Yeah.
to start?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that we talked about Danny for like a second. Go ahead with what you were going to say.
Yeah, I
Sorry.
was just going to say, I am going to say that was very suspect what Bethany just said. And if you're curious, check out our TikTok. Once again,
Nothing happened.
We're doing a lot of plugs.
Yeah, nothing happened.
But yeah, go ahead with Danny.
So Danny, we talked about, we're immediately suspicious of him because he's got this shiner that we later find out is from
Ooh,
his
yeah.
brother Connor, because they were getting into a little bit of a fight over our deceased Sarah. I mean, we learn a lot about Sarah, and through like all of the different kids involved and everything, you kind of learn that Sarah's a little bit of a
She's
problem.
a mean girl.
Yeah, she's not very
Ooh.
nice. While you like to be able to identify with like the victim, if you will, and
Yeah.
you're like, oh, this is so sad and so tragic, there's kind of a lot of suspects because everyone has a little bit of a reason to be mad at her. She's not, quote unquote, the perfect victim.
Yeah.
And
Which I don't think exists, by the way.
yeah, no, quote unquote.
Yeah.
To be clear, like murder's wrong. Let's
Yeah.
just like
Yeah,
chalk it
like,
up to
just
that.
like-
Maybe use your
to
words.
To quote Connor, like, yeah, she was kind of a little bit much, but she didn't deserve what she got, like,
No.
by any means.
No one deserves something like that. And it was just, it made it interesting though, where it was like you had so many people that you could look at.
Yeah.
But I think that originally, you're looking at Danny, you look at Connor,
Mhm.
because during the party, Sarah and Danny are talking.
Yeah, they're like on and off, hot and cold. Right now, they're cold.
They're not boyfriend, girlfriend. They're not
Yeah.
Facebook official.
I don't think that's a thing anymore. There's no way.
They kind of alluded to it in the book. That's what I thought about,
They
where
were
I was
on
just like,
Facebook. There's other mentions of the kids being on Facebook. So
yeah. I was like,
Yeah.
they're not Facebook official. So
I know. I just think that's a little nostalgic for us.
Oh, yes.
Where it's like what I feel like it is now, and maybe this says how out of touch I am. I'm going on a tangent. But when we were in school, it was like Facebook official. Now I think the kids these days, they're like doing soft launches and hard launches.
Yes.
Stop it.
Yes.
Yes.
Have you
Stop
not seen
it.
that?
Yeah. See,
Soft
I
launch, hard
told
launch.
you.
Hard launch is just out of nowhere. You're just posting the guy and you're like, we're not together. Soft launch,
Yes.
you're like teasing
Holding
a little bit. Yeah,
hands.
it's like the guy's not fully in. It's a soft launch.
Yeah.
okay.
You're teasing. I'm
Yeah.
seeing someone. You can't
Yeah.
tell who yet.
Clearly, we are on social media because that is hopefully where you're seeing this video.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I don't know how you ended up here.
Yeah.
But I'm in no way, shape, or form tied so closely to my social media that you have to hard launch and soft launch your relationship.
Oh, no.
What is going
Have
on?
you never seen that?
People don't even know Brandon and I are engaged because we couldn't figure out how to post it.
Wait, have you never heard of soft launch, hard launch? Is this like
No,
news?
this is new and I hate it.
Dude, I did that with Tyler. I soft launched him before I hard launched.
I hate that you thought about that.
I didn't think about
It just
it.
happened.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
it just
Okay,
happened.
I feel like it became a thing because people were doing it, and then people chose words for it. Like it
Yeah,
wasn't like
yeah.
a
Okay.
trend, and then people are doing it now. It's
I
like
guess
just
this
the
is
way.
like a conversation that girls are having with their girlfriends. Like,
No.
oh, I'm gonna soft launch
well,
him.
I mean, yeah,
and
now. But like
Yeah.
that wasn't like the origin of it. But like
Okay, yeah.
I'm sure in high school, like you're talking like, oh, I'm talking to this boy. Like I'm just gonna soft launch though. Like that's
Yeah.
probably a thing. Absolutely.
I
You're
hate
not
that.
hard launching
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
No.
Oh my gosh, no.
Well, because then you think, okay, third
Whatever,
date.
we're talking versus we're dating.
Yeah,
versus
it's,
we're whatever.
it's the same
thing.
shit.
Yeah.
It's fine. I'm 80 years old and that's okay.
Yeah.
I-
Sorry, not to call you out on your like social media etiquette, but they were not Facebook official. They were soft launched, if anything.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry, that's my attempt to rope it back to the book. I can
No,
try a
I-
different transition.
I love that. I love that I'm being educated on this. I hate that exists. I just why?
It's called aging. It's
I
called,
know.
It's called we're actually old as fuck
Yeah.
now, and we
I
graduated
know.
a decade ago, and it really hurts my brain.
Yeah. It hurts my body too. if I'm being
Yeah. My
honest.
hangover I'm gonna have
Yeah,
after this.
exactly,
It really
after the
that really
fucking-
hurts.
Every
yeah.
year I get like a new ailment.
Yeah.
Like, no matter what.
Yeah, think of
Yeah.
how we're gonna feel at 40.
Yeah.
50.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
We're
Oh,
not
I
even
don't
30
think I'm gonna
yet.
make
What
it.
are you talking about?
It's gonna be so sad. All right,
We're still
we can
in
talk
our
about that.
20s.
Cheers.
Back to the suspects.
Yeah, anyway, how do
cheers.
we loop that back? My God,
Did I
cheers.
smack your finger? No. Great.
She's going to feel that for the next 3 weeks.
Because we're old. Sarah ends up daring Danny to pop a pill. I don't know what kind of pill it was or what it was, but doing some kind of drugs in some way. And Danny obviously doesn't want to do it because he's on scholarship and he's like, no. And he took 2 shots and he thought that was going to be the end of it. But instead, Sarah decides, oh, I didn't really like that. And then I believe somebody dares her to kiss like the most attractive guy.
Ooh, yeah.
And then
Yeah.
she starts macking on Connor, his brother,
Ooh, yeah.
which obviously causes a scuffle between the boys. And that's where you learn the black eye is from.
Yes.
I thought it was a good red herring, if you will, to be like, ooh, where did that come from? But it did seem a little obvious. So, like, I wasn't super into Danny or Connor
Yeah.
as a suspect.
Yeah, I will say it's not her best red herring.
No, but I loved how many she created because she
Ooh, yeah.
really threw you off still.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't
Yeah.
think Malcolm was bad.
I don't think he was the strongest, though. If
No,
I'm being
I think
honest.
that he's up there, though, with Danny and
Yeah.
Connor.
Yeah. Because the twisted ankle was good.
And they were just talking about him being kind of odd.
Mhm.
And Malcolm being in her office, too.
Yes, that to me, I was
Ooh.
like, ooh.
See, okay. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna get into like her best red herring, if you will, because I think we're ready. When Malcolm was in her office and the flowers were also there, I was like, "There's no way Malcolm was that snoopy, right?" It had to have been Edward looking for that file, and he was just there afterwards. Like I did kind of clock like that timeline was a little
Interesting.
tight.
Yeah.
But it did end up being Malcolm being Snoopy. So I was also like red herring to red herrings. Like I don't know.
That whole interaction in her office was
Ooh,
just
yeah.
like, huh. And so, Edward, it's not
yeah.
a secret.
Okay. Yeah.
We're not,
Yeah. Her
we're
best
not
red
in
herring.
spoiler free anymore.
Yeah. I was gonna say you've been in this long enough. If you haven't read the book, here's the biggest spoiler. Her best red herring was Edward Morgan, as like who murdered
I believe.
Sarah.
What point did you guys feel you had the killer clocked, and who did you think it was? Like number one suspect going through when you were just like, because maybe it changed at some point, but at some point I feel like everybody gets into a murder mystery whodunit book where they're like, that's my number one, and this is why.
Yeah.
What was that
Bethany,
moment
I want
for you?
you to answer first.
Okay,
honestly.
so
Me
I
too,
mean, my
'cause
first one
I-
was Chrissy, but then that like kind of faded because it definitely wasn't getting any more info. My next one, my biggest one was Edward, and she definitely led you to believe that. But I mean, when we got to the point, I had already been like having my, as Meg you say, my hackles were raised up until then. But when we were actually there and she's at his house and, you know, things are just a little bit weird. Even before she went upstairs, because obviously at that point you're supposed to believe it's him.
Yeah.
But like just based off their conversation, I'm like, I don't trust this guy. I think it's gonna be him. And I was so like gung ho about that. And it's, you know, decently far enough in the book that by the time she goes upstairs and sees his painting and stuff, I'm like, this is just the plot twist.
Ooh,
like,
yeah.
I've got it figured out.
Yeah.
So that was like my biggest one, other than Chrissy, which was also wrong. So
Yeah.
completely wrong across the board for me.
Yeah. All right. So for me, where I clocked, and I'm going to be honest, I fell hard for the red herring, hard for it. I clocked it at about, I looked up the page because I have it written down. Fun fact, I don't think I flagged it, but I definitely wrote it down. I want to say it was like 2:11 maybe. When he leaves the flowers in her office and you read the card, I was like, oh, he's it somehow. I don't know how, but it's him. And from that point on, I was like, yeah, it's totally him. It's totally him. Which also, I will say, like, what a great red herring, because he really looked like he was crossing some boundaries with the students. Like, it did not, like, in my opinion, maybe come for me. I don't know. He said he never crossed the line, but like the way he was acting, I was like, you've thought about crossing the line.
No matter what, inviting a student to your private home to do a modeling shoot is inappropriate.
Yes.
100%.
I was like, you have crossed lines. You might not have had ill intent. But
There's
the lines were
no
crossed.
reason that she could have been catfished that hard
Yeah.
had he not laid a precedence for that to be believed.
Yes.
Which,
I
speaking
totally
of,
agree.
I was trying to find it earlier and I couldn't. I meant to look back because I was like, was this a plot hole or did I just read it differently? When she was getting catfished, she got like a friend invite from his actual Facebook. And then from there, he said he wanted to like take it to a private chat. And that private chat was with her actual cousin.
Yeah.
But was that just all a fake Facebook? Like, how does that make sense in the plot? Because to me, it seemed like it was his real Facebook and he told her he wants to take it somewhere.
So it said that like Olivia made a secret account, not Edward. And so since Edward messaged her, it seems like based on the plot that like she didn't look more into like, is this his actual Facebook? It was like maybe just a little excited that he messaged her because the picture matched with the one on his school website and the one on his actual Facebook. So it's not like, you're right, it's not like in detail like this is what happened, but it seemed like maybe Olivia, just being a teenage girl, was like, ooh, yay.
That makes sense. I feel like if I were Olivia, though, I was trying to think like, if you have a crush at that age, I feel like you'd go to like their Facebook and like look at all their stuff. But
Yeah.
that must have just been like not.
Yeah.
That
Well, I
thing.
mean, she was trying to keep it secretive though, and was
Yeah.
basically like, well, you can make a secret account. It's so easy because we don't want anyone to know. So I think that was
Fair.
a good way to get Olivia
Yeah, that's
off of the
true.
mainstream media.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
So it sounds like then we all pretty much had Edward clocked, and we
Yeah.
were like, okay, Edward is the guy after Chrissy was ruled out for you. And I was the exact same way, but I actually got to the point, and that's where I was like, I think I might change my rating on the book and everything, because I kind of got annoyed. I actually called Maggie. I got to the point where Ellie was like on the back of his motorcycle and everything, not
Yeah.
getting the rest of the story yet, right?
Yeah.
So at that point, I'm like, this is kind of annoying because I felt I had it clocked chapter 15.
Yeah.
And that was when she initially got the Facebook message from him.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was so out of the ordinary and weird. And then after, so like he was at that point on my radar.
Yeah, same for me. He
And-
was on my radar.
I could be wrong. I was just double checking to see it, but I think that right after that is when Ellie gets one of her first messages from Sally in the Woods. So I thought he
Oh.
was Sally in the Woods. Like he talked to mom and then he talked to her, and I thought maybe he was watching the house and saw them in
Okay.
bed.
Okay, tell me this. Sorry, not to like side tangent your whole
go
thought.
for it.
Did he or did he not give you Ezreal Fitz vibes from Pretty Little Liars though?
Oh, 1000%. He was like the younger, more attractive teacher, one of the only ones at
Yeah.
the school. But yeah, he definitely gave off Ezra Fitz vibes. Like he was just inappropriate with the students. You don't need to be that close with your students. And
Yeah.
if you are being close with your students, it should be in front of the rest of the staff. Like there's just no need for that private interaction. That's when it gets weird.
Yeah. Going back to your house with a student is like fired. Like,
Oh,
what are
yeah.
you doing?
Yeah.
That's never, there's no scenario in the
I've
entire
been
world.
to teachers' houses in like a few like select situations where it's like maybe somebody wanted you to house sit or something, but that was also I think post graduating. And then sometimes I remember teachers like, oh, could you babysit my kid if they thought you were like a good kid, good student or something.
Yeah, that's
but
not
like
coming over to be your like
your muse.
Yeah, you have
Yeah,
a,
your
you picked out a
muse.
dress for her and like oh my
No.
god,
Yeah.
no.
photographing.
No.
You want to model
Honestly-
for me? Absolutely not.
Even with Ellie, like we don't know where they're going for sure, but you kind of like inferred that they're going to the Folly. Even when he's like, hop on board, I was like, too far. Too far. Do not get on her motorcycle or his
Listen,
motorcycle.
I agree with you for sure that it was a bad decision. However, I do think Ellie specifically, out of all of the students, is someone that is going to have a different dynamic with the teachers no matter what, because her parent is also a teacher. So I think that for her mom was already kind of laying down the foundation for, hey, Edward is a safe person that you can talk to. So I think that her hackles were up once she was in the woods and she was like, he's getting agitated. He's being weird.
Yeah.
And like all of that, I wish I had never come.
Yeah.
But she kept having that same like moment where she was like, oh, he's the authority here. I'm going to go
Yeah.
ahead and do what he's doing. And I don't know that it would have worked with any other student, because I think Ellie is also, I like to think of it the same way that I would any of my coworkers' kids. Like if they came in, it would be a lot different than if some random kid came in. I might not let them into the back of the office. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, and Ellie did say, she was like, I'm kicking my mom for like telling him to like try and connect with me more or
She
whatever.
probably thought she had permission to a certain degree.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. But I just feel like from his end, like why would you toy with that? But I get what you're saying where it's like, well, if my coworker's kid showed up, would I probably treat them differently? Yeah. So I guess it's just a little intimate to get on a motorcycle, I feel
Yeah.
like. Especially in the middle of school. Like, come on, hop on.
He's like, hold on tight. Like,
yeah, or like
no matter
tighter
what,
than that.
Yeah.
Like, it was a little creepy.
And he had to admit that too when he was like, I know that it was over the line with the pictures and this and that, and I never should have done that, but nothing happened, I swear.
Yeah.
Either way, you still knew you stepped over a line. So the moment that you have to go, maybe no one should know about this, or maybe I don't want anyone to see it. When he had that inkling when she wanted to go see his work in progress up in the thing, he was really just talking about like his artistic endeavor and everything. And he talked to Ellie about it too. Hey, I want to do this series based on the lore in the woods. And that sounded like it was really just his artistic endeavor. I think he was still a pervert. But if you were doing anything that wasn't something that should raise a red flag, you should be able to talk to anybody about what you're working on.
Yeah.
And I get not wanting to see a work in progress or anything like that, but he could have then been like, oh, I'm not ready for anybody to see it yet, but here's what it's about and what I'm working on and why. And this is what I did. Like, if you can't talk about what you do behind closed doors with the general public, don't do those things.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. It did seem like from his perspective, he was like, oh, I can't talk about this because of what happened with Sarah. Like now it can never get talked about. But you are right where it's like he still like used reference photos for an underage girl and made the decision to make the dress in his painting sheer, which is like, okay, like the folklore is like a woman, not a child, a woman being stood up on her like, or like dying after her wedding or right before or whatever, getting murdered by somebody that she loves. And so you're right. It was like crossed too many lines, but he, from like his POV almost seeming that we get, it's like, oh, I can't talk about it because Sarah was murdered. But it's like, you use a child as a reference.
Also, Olivia was the one that was photographed.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it looks bad because Sarah was also dressed up as Sally.
Yes.
And is like, oh, now it's going to look like I'm making this sick thing out of like a tragedy when I was just going off the lore of the town. Because it seemed like he probably started it before.
It say that there was an exposed breast in the photo?
That
it's
is
sheer enough that you could
sheer
see.
enough.
Yes.
Okay, I was going to say, I was like, that was the part that like, I didn't go back to reread because I was just like, ew.
Moving on.
Yeah.
But I mean, even so it explains a painting and it's this huge like landscaping. There's lots of stuff. Why do you need reference photos of a teenage girl wearing a sheer dress?
That's what I'm
when
saying.
all you're doing is painting this like little basically white blur in the woods. Like, you don't need a reference photo. What do you, how, in what world do you need the reference photo?
And if you do, yes. And if you do, why are you asking your student who is underage to dress in this dress? Like like that's the point where I
hey,
agree
Rachel, come on over for dinner. I'm gonna cook you dinner, get you some wine. Come sit for me.
Right? You know why though? It's because he doesn't have influence over another like adult.
Right.
The student will show up. Yes.
I'm not gonna lie. At the end, I was actually kind of hoping that Rachel was going to want to be with Edward. Like the way that before we learned.
Okay. Yeah. I was like, tell me more.
I had really hoped that he wasn't going to be this like nasty guy because I kind of wanted her to still be able to move on in a different way, like and not be with the husband. I'm glad they didn't end up together at the end of this book. I would have liked to see her with him if he had turned out to actually just be a nice guy. I wish that there would have been that for Rachel, like in the whole thing,
like another option than Ben.
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
Fair.
I would have liked to see her be able to like have that kind of moment. And he seemed like a really nice guy up until you got into the attic.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Jeez.
Like if that part was taken out, everything else he did was very nice.
Yeah.
Well, the motorcycle,
Well,
like that whole thing too. Yeah.
Yeah.
All the pervy
Ignore
parts.
like all these things, but then he's great.
Yeah.
Just put some blinders on.
Yeah. I just wish he hadn't done those things. I wish that Rachel would have got like a different, like nice moment with him.
I wanted that for her too, so I know what you mean.
Yeah. Just couldn't be it.
No, it wasn't, but I wanted it. So yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously he didn't do it.
Yeah.
So do we want to talk about how deranged Olivia is?
I was gonna say, I was gonna ask if we want to transition into like who the actual killer is.
Yeah, let's do it.
Olivia.
Drum roll.
Yeah.
Dude. I mean, I didn't see it coming.
Did anyone see it coming? I did not. No.
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 I was so set on it being Edward
Mm-hmm.
that like, oh, that was the part that I was saying before. I totally got distracted. But like, I was so kind of irritated when we finally got to that point, when we did see the painting upstairs and this and that. And I was just like, what are we doing now?
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is kind of just like the whole second half of the book. I was like, well, I already know who did it.
Mhm.
So I feel so bummed. And then I called Maggie like after that part and I was just like, yeah, I feel like I clocked it kind of early. I don't know. I was like, I
Yeah, she
technically,
did.
like, I was like, I didn't make it to the end yet, so I'm still hoping.
Yeah.
But I
you
was
finished
really, really early for
Yeah.
if this is right. And I didn't understand how it could possibly go any other way. So for me, felt like a really good plot twist at the
Yeah.
end.
Yeah.
Nice. And you had already finished it. By
I
then,
had
so you were
already-
like, oh, I can't.
Yeah,
see anything.
no, what I did do, to answer your question of like how the heck did I navigate that, I was like, well, I mean, she kind of held your hand through each suspect where she was like, oh, it was Ellie at first and then it was Malcolm. Like, I was like, she did take you down a path where it was like this character or that character or that character. Because I wasn't going to tell Paige on the phone, oh, no, it's not him. Like, obviously
keep
not.
reading.
That
Yeah.
would have been so sad.
Yeah, no, I was like, I mean, but she did take you through twists, so like keep reading. Not
Yeah.
which obviously you had to for the podcast, so I knew you
Yeah.
weren't gonna just like close
Stop.
the book.
Oh no!
Yeah.
And no matter what, I'm always somebody that's going to finish a book to the
Yes.
end.
Yeah.
It takes a lot for me to not finish a book. And the few that I have not finished, I've heard have been really, really good. So I should have stuck it out a little bit more in the beginning. But no, I don't know. It got me a little bit where I was just like, like this is kind of annoying. And I
Yeah.
got upset for a second because I was just like, dang it! Like I expected more. There was
Yeah.
no way that I was right, and then there wasn't.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. Yeah, so I feel like I tricked you too.
Yeah, you did good.
Yeah, I'd love to hear if anybody actually predicted that it was Olivia because that
Oh,
was
no.
done so well to me. But it actually, like, the way she explains it, it makes sense. Like, all of the things that make you not think it is her, like, all the reasoning, like, it works. Because that sometimes
yeah.
happens in thrillers where it just is a huge plot twist at the end. It's this person you never would have suspected. You're given no reason for it. It's just, like, random.
Yeah.
This wasn't random. Like, it all works together so well.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I definitely think that with Olivia too, the thing with Olivia that it surprised me the most is that she was still so involved in the story and
Yeah.
everything and just wasn't letting a ton on until she basically snapped. And they did make a comment earlier on in the book where they said the quietest ones are the ones that have something to hide.
Oh, I
And I
forgot
made
about
that.
that.
Yes.
love that.
So I had actually been paying really close attention to that throughout the book. And I was like, okay, well, Ellie's not talking. Okay, maybe Ellie. Like this was one of my like
Yeah.
early thoughts. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, that line's coming back.
Yeah.
And then I got really hung up on Olivia's mom.
Oh, yeah.
So I thought if it wasn't Edward that it was going to be Olivia's mom
Okay.
because she basically didn't talk and just was like kind of drugged out the whole
Yeah.
time. So I thought that was like a really good
Yeah.
cover.
Oh,
so I
yeah.
thought that was going to be the plot twist.
That's
but
fun.
That is
Yeah.
a fun plot twist.
I don't know.
I feel like that would have made me upset though if I got
Yeah.
all the way to the end of the book and I was like, "What is this?
It's this
mom?"
random side character
Yeah.
you only heard about a couple times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that happens in some books.
It
So I love
does.
that wasn't this.
Yes.
Like,
No,
Yes.
I was very relieved, but
Yeah.
because of that line, I was like, no way. I was like,
Yeah.
that's the only other thing that made sense to me. So
Yeah.
Olivia was like totally out of left field, and I loved it.
agreed.
No, she was a great because like in her psyche it like all lined up and made sense and like even when she knew it was a lie, she was like, I don't want him to die because I love him still. Which
Even
is
though
like
who she was falling in love with was actually her cousin. Just like,
yes.
yeah.
Okay. Before we get into like our ratings, I do want to hear what your thoughts are on Sarah as a character.
Mm.
If that's fair.
Sarah sucked.
Yeah, she's very manipulative. Like,
Yeah.
obviously not a good friend or
I don't think she deserved to
Relative.
die.
No.
But
No,
I
yeah.
think
She's a
that she
teenager.
was just I mean, she sounds punchable.
yeah. I feel like she's a teenager making a lot of really poor decisions. Like,
I
Yeah.
can see why Ellie was just like, wow. And I get Ellie seems like the kind of person that she must not be a very violent girl or anything like
Yeah.
that. I mean, it sounded like she was kind of peacefully protesting everything that she was against and using her art and more like whatever. So I was like, man, to get a girl like that to actually throw a punch,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it had to be a lot. And I mean, it wrecked her. I don't think it was even so much about her dying as like her just not being able to apologize the way that she
Yeah.
wanted to be able to because she didn't even give her the opportunity to walk home with her.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I thought about that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Sarah was like a mean girl. I kind of said it earlier, but I did think it was interesting, Sarah and Olivia's dynamic, because she had been doing this to her cousin. And then we didn't mention this earlier, but like Olivia had found out that night that like Sarah had betrayed her in this way.
Yeah.
And then left the party and was upset and like waiting for her at home, which like was a safe place for both of them. And came back to the Folly because she like tracked her location and was like, hey, like, why would you do this to me? Like, what is wrong with you? And I thought the way that like her death occurred was very interesting, because it almost seemed as though it was an accident. And I still to myself question, like, was it really an accident, or was it more intentional than Olivia spells out?
I think Olivia's a little delulu.
Yeah.
I think that's the problem.
Yeah.
Like, I think it could have gone either way. And I think if she was in her right mind, that Sarah would probably not be dead. But I think that she just kind of reacted versus anything else.
That's
And I think that's how it ended up. I mean, she was even able to justify like putting a knife to Ellie's throat because she was like, I want my dad and you're taking up all his attention because you're trying to stop this development and I'm more important than the development. So I'll just get rid of you. My gosh, girl, go give your dad a hug instead of holding a knife to someone else's throat.
Yeah. Yeah, that was wild.
Yeah, being reactive is like exactly it to me. I feel like she just didn't think things through, just did whatever came to her mind first. Like she doesn't.
Yeah.
I think she just kind of hit a point. And I mean, I think that for you to have somebody like, you got to remember, she's talking about Sarah as like, she was basically my sister. I loved her. We were so close. My parents don't love me. Like, this is my person.
Yeah.
And to have your person and find out, wow, they have been betraying me. I think her whole world flipped upside down. And I think that she just couldn't see straight.
Yeah. Yeah, because she says that she shoved her and then she stumbled and fell off. But I wonder if it was more so like she actually did kind of like react, like you're saying,
possible,
was like super emotional and was just like, and then like,
Not
because
thinking.
she was mourning. Like she definitely, I don't think she was acting when she was like so upset and crying over and over. And like, this was my person. Like, I think she was mourning the loss of like Sarah, but then as well as this love that she thought she had. And like, I'm sure it was super emotional for her, but I don't know. I was just curious if you guys thought there was more to like her stumble and fall off.
Yeah.
I think it's quite possible. Like,
Yeah.
she was definitely, I think she could probably convince herself that it was just a stumble, even if she had pushed, just be like, it was just an accident.
I mean, I don't think the intention was to kill her, but I do think the intention was to push her and to get angry.
Yeah.
Like, I think she was trying to be hurtful. And I think at the end of the day, that's all that really, like, it boils down to, okay, what was your motivation that what was your motivation in that moment? Were you trying to be helpful or hurtful? And she was trying to be hurtful and bad things happened.
Yeah. Yeah, you're 100% right.
Okay, as we're wrapping up here, I do want to hear, what character in this book would you guys like to grab a drink with?
Who wants to go first?
I feel like I want to drink with Olivia. I want to be like, girl, what happened? Like, or maybe Sarah, honestly, if you could. I just feel like they not that I didn't get enough of their POVs and what happened. I just feel like they would have a lot to say, and I'd want to listen.
I feel like I'm still super angry with Edward.
Yeah, right.
Like, I feel like I just want to yell at that man. So like, I would go, I mean, out for a drink to chat, but out for a drink to chat, I feel like I would go with Rachel. Because I think that she went on quite, I mean, a journey, and she also seemed to be very level-headed. So like, I think that she would be the best person to like talk with. Yeah. But I would love to yell at Edward and just be like, what are you doing? What are you doing? So wrong. No, don't think that you got out of this whole situation unscathed.
Yeah, no, there was some.
This was your second lease on life. I feel like the reason he survived was to learn from his mistakes.
Yeah, very inappropriate behavior happening.
Yes. Yeah, my answer was also Rachel. I feel like she was just like, to me, the most likable character in this book. Like, if I wanted to sit down and just have a nice evening, my pick would be Rachel. Yeah. I did like Ellie as a character, and I feel like she'd be fun to just go chat with too.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
She'll be hiding in the corner.
Yeah.
She'll be drinking her secret wine.
Yeah.
Have a little angsty conversation with her, but
yeah. No, I do feel like we maybe in the future have to rephase. Who would you have a drink with, and who would you have a fight with?
Oh, I like that.
Because
So drink with Rachel and fight with Edward is a good one.
Yeah.
I mean, even fight with like Malcolm was weird at times too. Because
Yeah.
like, even if you're like, ooh, these kids are doing this weird stuff in the forest, I guess I'm just gonna watch just in case something like that's weird.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
not normal.
Also, why didn't you come to the police and
Yes.
tell them everything that you saw?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, you watch kids vandalize your
Right.
literal property.
And if you are,
Excuse me, may I rule myself out as a suspect, please? I was somewhere I was not meant to be. However, I did not speak to or hurt anyone.
yeah.
I was just being weird.
yeah, it's being so creepy because to me also like he's not hired or he's not like a teacher or anything, but
No.
he knows these kids.
Yeah.
To me, if you're an adult and you're in a power position in a school in some way and you see the kids doing something they're not supposed to be doing, they're underage drinking, you're
Yeah.
just gonna like scare them a bit, be like, guys, get lost, go home. Otherwise,
Yeah.
I'm gonna call the cops or something.
Well, there
Yeah.
was the weird allegations from the other school that I feel
Yeah,
like
but,
we
like,
did not get nearly enough
no,
detail
but
on.
also
Yeah.
the kids aren't gonna go be like, hey, this teacher, like if they know they were doing something wrong, all that's gonna happen there if he's like, guys, like
Oh, there
screw
is.
them. They're just gonna go home and they're not gonna tell anyone. They don't want
No.
anyone to know they were
Yeah.
there. That's the normal adult response I feel when you're like somewhat related to the school.
Yeah.
You're like, guys, get lost instead of
Yeah.
just like sitting in the woods watching.
Yeah,
so
just like
he'd be on
I'm
my
keeping
fight list.
tabs.
Yeah, he's my fight list for sure.
And then he was also like, I'm trying to protect the bads. like,
yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
All right, so
No.
we've got our fight list. Who's on yours?
Oh, okay. If I want to be different, I'd say honestly Ben for just a minute. Not
Yeah.
through his whole character arc.
I almost said Ben. So
But like, yeah, he needs a little slap around where it's like, Ben, be an adult and confront your grief.
Get your
Like
shit together.
yeah. And not just your grief, but just your emotions in general. Like, don't
Yeah.
be so reactive.
do you think this is what your sister would have wanted?
Yeah,
Like, literally,
exactly. What are
think
you
that through.
doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tough love.
Yeah. So yeah, I'd probably fight Ben for like a conversation. It wouldn't be
Constructive criticism.
yeah. Yeah. Which I feel like by the end of the book he does kind of like come around and
Yeah.
knows that he made a
He did.
mistake.
He had a good character arc. I liked it.
Yeah. Yeah.
What
agree.
would you guys rate this book?
Ooh, I mean, I would have told you a 3 before we had our discussion, but throughout the book discussion and everything, I would say that I land more towards a 4. Like, I think it was actually really well done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gave it a 4 on Goodreads. I thought it was very well
you
done.
did? Okay.
Yeah. I didn't love the like end chapter where it was just like, and here's how everything wraps up. Like that kind of bothered me a little bit. Not because it wasn't like well written and all that. I just felt like it was a little rushed. So I was like, 4. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm in the low 4s, like 4.25, somewhere in there. I
Yeah.
think I was lower until like all the plot twists happened. Cause like if you ask me halfway through the book, I'm in like 3.5. Like it's a fun
Yeah.
ride.
Yeah.
Nothing crazy. But like I think she did a great job of wrapping everything up and
Yeah.
making the story make sense to the point that you think back and you're like, ooh, that like face in the window at Edwards, like that's
Oh my
Olivia.
gosh.
This like
Yeah.
random the chat that she's having on Facebook, that's actually a secret. Like she
Yeah.
obviously spent a lot of time developing this plot to be where it is, and I think that was like very
Yeah.
well executed. So
Yeah.
probably the
Yeah.
low to mid 4s is where I'm landing.
I do agree with you because I didn't, for a minute in the story, I also felt like it was like, maybe there is a ghost in the woods.
Oh,
And-
that's what I truly didn't know what kind of story I was reading
Yeah.
at first, especially just like, again, not having read any of her other books, which I do think I will read Search Party probably now. But, yeah, I just couldn't figure out, was like, who am I looking for? Or is it
Yeah.
really a ghost story? It was
Yeah.
very well done.
Yeah. No, it was great.
Yeah, I thought it was a fun read for sure. All right, I think that about wraps up our discussion on One Dark Night. I think collectively we all really liked this one and plan to read her other book, The Search Party. And next month, you can look forward to our next episode. We are reading a book called Keep This For Me. It's a new thriller book that's coming out, I think, at the beginning of October. I've read a book by this author, and I don't think the rest of you guys have.
Nope.
No, so that'll be a fun one too. She's a really awesome thriller author. So we'll see you guys in the next episode.
Bye.